and welcome to a new episode, the second episode of Dialogues Live. My name is Helena Demuynck. I am your host. Last week, we were talking about setting a new set of rules for leadership. And I believe that today's topic, confidence, is like a fundament in order to do that. Before we start, I would like to invite you. I would like you to invite you as a guest or at least as a participant. So, first of all, let me know in the chat where you are from and if you can hear me loud and clear. But you can, as I said, you can join me as a guest. I will set up the link for you. This is the link, and it's also visible in the LinkedIn comments. Maybe I can also copy it here so it's everywhere. So basically, this is a link to join me here on the stage if you want to, if you dare, if you feel confident to do that. Because I want to talk about confidence with you. And we all know these expressions like fake it till you make it, wear your mask, project certainty at all costs, don't show vulnerability, don't show you don't know. And here's the thing. When you wear confidence as a mask, it is exhausting. And people can see it, people can feel it, because it's an energy that is not really yours. But we have not learned how to build that confidence from inside. We try to do the things in order to show that confidence, like the fake it till you make it, but also, the power poses or the power words to use or the power dresses, even in order to show up in a way that people see us as confident. And the interesting thing is that um, being seen as confident is a very different thing from feeling confident. And being seen as confident also shows us how we want to relate confidence with our external world and with how other people see us and with, how we dress, how we pose, how we talk. While basically true confidence is an inner thing. It doesn't come from pretending. It doesn't come from performing. It comes from leading from your core, from your values, from your voice and your presence. How does that resonate? Let me know in the chat or think of it for yourself. How often do you feel that you perform confidence instead of really feeling it? And how does that make you feel? We all have these situations. Even I have them. And they're very situational and contextual, where we don't really know. And we always want to know, right? Because if we don't know, especially as leaders, especially as managers, as entrepreneurs, if we don't know, we feel like we are not a professional. We feel we are not the right person in the right place. And so basically, the not knowing for us is a very big source of feeling not confident. And an interesting thing is that the knowing is something that we translate in intellectual knowing. And we forget the knowing and the wisdom that we already have built in our past experiences, in our past reflections on who we are and how we want to show up. And I would like to go there with you in terms of building that confidence from inner work, from inside. How does that feel? How would that work for you if you could rely on your own resources, on your inner strength, in order to build that confidence in a way that you don't have to perform, that you don't have to pretend, because you simply know yourself and know your worth, and you trust that this is something that you can rely on in order to show up, in order to make choices, in order to make decisions. How does that feel? So let me start with that inner basic, the inner basic elements that you have in order to build that confidence. And I would like to go to something that is, I would say, fun to do because it is reconnecting with your strengths, reconnecting with your power. And this is an exercise I often do myself. I also often do with my coaching clients. And it is basically from a very still place. And you can do this with me right now if you want to. From a very still place, go back in time to a moment where you were really feeling in your strength, where you were really feeling in your power, where you felt creative, resourceful. It could be a moment or an event in your professional life while, for example, you were helping one of your team members, explaining something to him or to her. Could be something in your personal life where you were teaching your child how to ride a bike or how to swim. It could be this amazing conversation with a friend where you were exploring possibilities for a specific plan or goal that you had. But think of something where you really felt strong, powerful, and resourceful. And connect with that part of you. Really bring it up and also bring up that feeling that is related with it. That feeling of trust, of confidence, of knowing. And this is basically what you have as a resource, as an inner resource, and that you can access at any time. Does that make sense? It's a possibility for you to connect with experiences and wisdom and activate not only that experience, but also activate the emotions and the feelings of strong confidence that went with it. And keep that with you in order to bring it into a situation where you feel less confident. And you will see that you can kind of um, immerse your situation where you feel less confident with that strength and that inner power. So this is one way where we build confidence and where we access our inner strengths in situations where we don't know. All right. Another thing that you can do in order to build confidence from your inner source and resource is to have a very clear view on your values. What is it for you that is really, really important? If you don't feel confident to speak up in a meeting, or if you don't feel confident to present to the board or to your hobby club, whatever it is that makes you feel that you are not strong enough or not good enough or not capable enough in order to be connected with a group of people that look at you and that want to learn from you. If you don't feel confident to make certain decisions, to go for that promotion, to go for that salary raise, to have that difficult conversation with somebody from your team who is not performing, those are moments where you can have a look at your values, like what is really important to me, and how can I take from those values what I need in order to feel reassured that what I'm going to do and how am I going to do it and how I am going to say it is aligned with those values and feels right for me. And so knowing your values and having them clear as a guidance, I would say as a compass for you is absolutely going to help you to build your confidence and to build your inner strength in situations where you don't feel comfortable, in situations that are new for you, in situations where you don't really intellectually know, because you can rely on that compass of your values. For example, if you have that difficult conversation with somebody from your team and you don't feel confident to do it, you could think of what values do you have in place as a leader for your team? What is important in terms of your team culture, in terms of the relationships that you have with your team as a team leader or maybe as a coach, the relationships that you see between your team members, how you want the output of what you deliver in your department, how important it is and how you want it to be seen in the organization, what you stand for in terms of quality, in terms of also interactivity. Those are things that you can reflect on in terms of how your values are basically defining the way that you interact with that team member, how they are defining the way that you have that conversation. Does that make sense? If you have any questions about this, or if you want to contribute with this, then absolutely just write in the chat, give your feedback, ask your questions, or if you want, just click that link and show up with me here on stage to ask your questions or to share your vision or what you have learned in terms of confidence. Very, very welcome to add this to the conversation. A third thing, so we had this inner strength exercise and practice that we can do, and we can do that as often as we want. We have our values that are so important for us to define how we show up and to build the strength in order to show up in situations that make us feel uncomfortable. And a third thing that we can do is basically understand how not feeling confident has an impact on or has a physiological impact. When we don't feel confident, we are kind of scared or we are kind of stressed. And when that happens, we go into our brain, into our fight or flight response, right? So if we don't feel confident, either we back out, right? We fly, or we might become a bit louder, a bit more aggressive, a bit more controversial, a bit more difficult to deal because we're on like our defense and we're kind of what we would label as aggressive. And so what happens there is that we are choosing between reactions that are not really serving us. And so what we can do when we don't feel confident, when we don't feel comfortable, that is, we can calm those, I would say, reptilian brain responses in fight or flight by just doing some very, very simple practices. And the simplest practice that you can do is breathing. Very simple breathing exercises that calm down that fight or flight response and that give you access to more performing parts of your brain. And so the calming down breath work, you can do that very, very simple by, for example, inhaling for counts and exhaling for 6 counts. Or if that is too much for you because you have no breathwork practice, inhale 2 and exhale 4 counts. Whatever makes it work that you inhale is shorter than your exhale. And what you're doing is you are calming your body. Changing posture might also help. Just think of it. I mean, this is not a confidence thing, but think when you are in the dentist seat, right? And the dentist is starting with this drill, and you already hear the noise. And just remember what you're doing. You're like, all your muscles are tense, and you are like if you could, you would run probably, but you are very tense and you are holding your breath, or you are breathing very, very superficial. And when you are aware of that, just a moment that you can relax and let go and have your muscles relaxed and have a different breathing, you will feel very, very different. And once you have that, you have like calmed that fight or flight response. I'm not talking about dentists anymore. I'm talking about now the uncomfortable situation where you don't have confidence. Once you have been able to calm down that fight or flight response, a very simple thing to do is to start asking open questions. What is it that I want to do next? How do I want to show up? What does this person need from me? Or what does the group need from me? What is the most important thing I want to achieve? So basically what you are doing is you are have this inner reflection where you are activating your prefrontal cortex instead of your fight or flight modus, and where you start to really understand how you can contribute to a situation, where your values are, and where your strengths are. And those are three very important things that you can train yourself in, so you can like activate them in the moment in order to build your strength and build your confidence from inside. It is basically looking for inner validation of what you're going to do, what you are going to say, what you are going to decide, instead of looking for external validation. When you look for external validation, you will never feel confident because you never know what other people think. You never know how other people will respond. And basically, it doesn't really matter. Well, that's a strong expression, but it is about if you know, if you can activate your inner strength and your inner wisdom, and your choices and the way you show up are based on your values and on active reflection work, then there's not a lot that can go wrong. So if that works for you, I would like to invite you to try this, to take a moment now and see in a recent situation where you felt very, very unconfident, or maybe slightly unconfident, and where one or more of these three strategies might be able to help you in order to build that confidence, and just let it flow into your being for a moment. And think of what you could have done differently in your preparation or in the action based on these three elements: activation of your inner strengths, values, and basically physiologically calming your fight or flight and activating your prefrontal cortex, where you have access to options, to possibilities, where you build trust, where you build connection. And if you want to share it in the chat, in the comments. If you don't, just write it down for yourself. By the way, if you're watching the replay, feel free also to share what you want to share in the chat or in the comments, because I am monitoring that and I will be very happy to get back to you if you have any questions or feedback that might require a follow-up. Now, building confidence and having the conversations about how to strengthen that inner power, having conversations about what really are your values, or even having practices like breath work is something that you also can do with a coach. One of the reasons I start Dialogues Live is to make coaching more accessible and to normalize it as a practice that we all can have. We always think of coaching as either for sports, every team, every athlete, every champion has a coach, and there's a reason for that. And when we look at corporate life, high level executives, they also have a coach. And there's a lot to say for all of us to have a coach. It's just that we feel it is not accessible. More and more, we see life coaches and we see the possibility to have a life coach. But when you're talking about holistic coaching, what I mean is where you are coached as a person in your professional and your personal context and in terms of growth, then a lot of us feel like this is not for us, or this is not yet for us, or we cannot afford that, or we have no time for that. And let me say that this is something that I've heard so much and that I wanted to do something about. And that's why I have created an application. I launched it last week and it's called Dialogues with Helena. And I would very much like to share it with you and to show it with you because it is a possibility to receive coaching wherever you are at any time, morning, evening, weekends, but especially before difficult situations when you really need some support and not only in building confidence, although that could work, but whatever support you need in terms of how to show up as a leader or how to build your capacity as a leader. And what I have been doing is I have consolidated my coaching expertise and knowledge. I'm an entrepreneur for 35 years. That's a long time. I have been in recruitment and search for 22 years. And that was what I did there was mainly career coaching. As of 2007, I started coaching, leadership coaching, executive coaching. And what I'm doing now, especially the last 5, 6 years, is women centered coaching, holistic women centered coaching. And I have bundled all this knowledge, all this, if I may say, wisdom, experience, protocols, and resources in an application that is called Dialogues with Helena. And it is available for you online. So there's an avatar, Helena Demuynck avatar, who is basically communicating with you. But for everything she says or asks, she's going back to this resource library that I have been creating and consolidating in the application. So let me share with you what this is about. I'm going to have my website here with you. Let me see. Let me know if you can see this screen. In the meantime, I will take off this banner. So basically, this is the general information of Dialogues with Helena, with some general information, of course. And here you can see what topics I have confidence here: career transitions, authentic leadership, boundary setting, and so much more that you can deal with in the application. And so this is for women who lead and those preparing to. I'm not saying that men are not welcome on the application, as long as you know that it was really built with women in mind. So it is women centered coaching, also in terms of topics and in terms of language and in terms of just how we are dealing with challenges and goals. So it is about defining leadership on your terms. It is about defining success on your terms. And it is not an AI platform, because that is something that a lot of people are afraid of when I'm talking about AI coaching. So everything is encrypted, it is confidential and secure. It is hyper personalized because you can fill out your profile in terms of where you are in your career stage, what industry you are in, what phase of your career you are having now. Are you leading a team? Yes or no? What are your goals for the coaching? What are your struggles? So all these things are basically in your profile, you can choose your mother tongue, and then you can use that. The whole setup is in English, but you can have the conversations in your mother tongue. As long as you choose your mother tongue, then you will have the um, conversations in the chat in that same language. As I already said, it is women centered. It is a complete coaching space. It means that you are not throwing your questions in the void of artificial intelligence universe. You are in a secured, closed environment where you have a track of all your conversations. You have resources that are offered based on the conversations and the topics that you are dealt with. There are reflection prompts. So, for those of you who have no experience with reflection prompts, also, only that is so important because it makes you think. Those are reflection prompts, are questions that make you think deeper and make you think from a different angle and see things in a different setting. It has a progress tracker and it has a journal. So basically, you have one application where you have all your conversations that you can have on a weekly basis or on a daily basis or on a bi-monthly basis, whatever works for you. It's a complete coaching space. And it is backed by me and all my experience and knowledge. So you have on-demand coaching, you have growth tools to support your professional and your personal growth, and you have curated resources. So basically, it's very simple. You log in and you choose for yourself how much time you want to spend. You start the dialogue. You can start for free. And if you need more time or deeper coaching, you can upgrade the plan. But basically, you have time for free on a weekly basis forever. That's basically what we want to do. I'm not going to the frequently asked questions. I will leave that to you if you open the app. And the link is dialogueswithhelena.app. And then you can start here. And basically, what happens then is you go to a sign in or sign up page. If you've never been here before, then of course you sign up and then you create a login and a password. If you have been here before, then you can just sign in and then you just enter the app. So this is what I wanted to share with you in terms of what I can offer. And the main reason why I want to share this with you is that we have been talking now about building confidence. And you might say, yes, this is something I want to work on. And then life happens. And yes, you can watch the replay and maybe you took some notes and maybe you already have some insights and built more awareness. But then what? So my invitation is just explore coaching. Even if you have never had coaching before, just explore it in the application. If you had coaching before, then see how this can be your in-between support and sponsor, or maybe how you can have a different approach of coaching based on what we have been building with women-centered coaching. Why I call it women-centered coaching is because coaching traditionally is built by men and for men. It was a sports thing where, when we look at decades ago, most of the performing teams and sport athletes were men. In corporate life, it has been developed by men for men because they were at the higher levels earlier. It's a very linear thing. It's a very, I would say, if you look at the masculine approach, it's very much in terms of the goals, the outcomes, the aspirations, the ambitions. It's very, very proactive. We feel that women-centered coaching is necessary for a lot of women in terms of understanding, appreciating, validating, and deploying the female leadership capacities and capabilities and skills. And that is basically what we do in the women centered coaching. So I just invite you to explore it. It's free. You see the QR code on my screen here in the left top. This QR code gets you to the application on your mobile. The application is available on mobile and laptop and tablet. For now, it is optimized for laptop in that way that there's a speech to text, so you can speak, you don't have to type, which is not yet ready for mobile. But you can have the mobile version with all other features immediately via the QR code. And if you want to check it through your laptop, then you just go to dialogueswithhelena.app. You have all the information there, and then you have the buttons to sign up. So you have to sign up first, and then afterwards you can just log in with your password and enter a very safe and secure environment where you can receive coaching, as we say, at your fingertips. So I hope you join us. I also would like to invite you to our next week's session of Dialogues Live. I will put the link in the chat as well, because this is very much connected with what we were talking about today. Next week we will be talking about imposter syndrome, or your inner critic, or however you want to label it. But we are going to talk about this internal conversation that we have with ourselves so often, in terms of not good enough, not capable enough, you don't deserve to be here, these things. We all kind of suffer from that in some degree. And so I want to talk with you about how to deal with that. We will never get rid of it, but we can deal with it. There's a lot of things that we will never get rid of, but that we just can learn how to deal with them in a different way so we can show up in a better way and bring to the surface that beautiful best version of ourselves. So I hope I see you next week. If you have any questions, just DM me. I am available on LinkedIn or on any other social media channel that you are watching right now. You can just DM me if you have any questions. And if you want to have the coaching experience, then just go to the app dialogueswithhelena.app, and I'll see you there, or at least my avatar will see you there. So thank you so much for being with me, for being in this confidence conversation, and hope to see you again next week. Take care. Bye.